Today we get to talk about the story of Esther. And I love the story of Esther. It's its own book of the Bible for the story of Esther. And Esther takes place during the time of the exiles. So remember how we had Israel up here? And remember the northern kingdoms? They had all bad kings, and God finally said enough, and he allowed Assyria to come in and take over Israel, right? And so it was just Judah and Babylon. But then they had some good kings, but then some bad kings, remember? So God said, okay, you're still going to have some punishment, but because I had promised David somebody from his family would be on the throne, you're going to only be punished for 70 years. And then people will be able to go back. So God allowed Babylon to come in, remember, and take over Judah. Well, and Assyria, Babylon took over Assyria too. Oh, and then also remember Daniel was one of those exiles who got taken over by Babylon, Daniel and Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego. Remember that? Well, then Babylon got taken over by the Medes and Persians. Remember King Nebuchadnezzar's dream of the statue with the gold and the silver and iron and bronze. So Daniel then ended up serving King Darius, remember, with the Medes and Persians. Darius is the one that ended up having to throw him in the lion's den even though he didn't want to. Remember that from last time? Well, now Daniel is no more. Okay, he's died. Its years have passed. Some of the Jews have gone back. The 70 years is over. Some of the Jews have gone back to Israel, but not all of them. Some of them are still living in the Medes and Persians, and the capital city is Susa. This is where the king, Susa is the city where the king of the Persians lives. And this time his name is King Xerxes. It has X's in it. But it sounds like Z's. King Xerxes. And he has his palace in Susa. Now King Xerxes is king of all of this area and a whole bunch over here if you kept going on the map. They are king of a whole lot. And King Xerxes decides to have a party. And he has a party, and he invites people from all over his kingdom and some of the other officials, and he has this huge party. And there's a queen, her name is Queen Vashti. Queen Vashti has a party with the girls. So King Xerxes has a party with the boys. Queen Vashti has a party with the girls. Now, King Xerxes, after a few days, and they're all partying and going a little crazy. And King Xerxes says, well, Queen Vashti is the most beautiful queen ever. Everyone should go see her. So he says to one of his servants, go get Queen Vashti and tell her to come here and so everyone can see how beautiful she is. Well, Queen Vashti didn't really want to go where a whole bunch of boys were having this party and being wild and crazy. And she was having her own party with the girls. And so she said, no, I'm not going to come. Now, King Xerxes is not used to people telling him no. No kings are used to people telling them no. If a king says something, you do it. So King Xerxes says to his advisors, what do I do now? She said no. I can't believe she said no. So they said, you should cast her out, not kill her or anything, but you should make it so she can't live and she can't be in the kingdom and she can't be queen anymore. So he said, okay, I'll do that. And remember, the Medes and Persians, you can't change their laws once it's been decided. So Queen Vashti, not queen anymore because she didn't obey the king. So after a while passes, and then King Xerxes said, I kind of miss not having a queen. So his advisors say, I know what you should do. You should hold a contest. And you should have it, all of the beautiful girls who aren't married yet from all over your kingdom should be brought to Susa. And you should pick who you think is the best one to be queen. King Xerxes said, yeah, that's a good idea. So girls from all over were brought, older girls, ready to be married girls. And one of them was Esther, and later she's going to become queen, but one of them was Esther. Now, Esther is special because she is Jewish. She's from Judah. And People don't know that she's Jewish, though. Her family has lived here for a long time. She was born here. She speaks the language, all that, because they were in captivity here in exile for 70 years. Now, Esther lost her mom and her dad. We don't know how, but her mom and dad both died. And she has a cousin who's kind of like an uncle, but he's really her cousin, but we'll call him uncle because he's kind of like it. His name is Mordecai. He's going to come into our story too. And Mordecai takes care of Esther. He kind of adopts her as his daughter, and he takes care of her. So Mordecai takes care of Esther, and Mordecai works by the king's palace in Susa. Well, Esther gets chosen because she's super beautiful, but Mordecai says, don't tell anybody you're Jewish. Keep it a secret, because not everybody loves the Jewish people, because some people think, why didn't they all go back home? Why are there still some living here? So he says, keep it a secret. So she has to go through a whole year of beauty treatments. How to do your makeup, how to do your hair, have soft skin, what to wear, all of this stuff. A whole year's worth of lessons on that. Now, Esther, when she was going through that year of beauty treatments, she became friends with some of the servants who were there. And God gave her favor among them. Remember, that happened with Daniel too, right? God blessed Esther and he gave her favor. People thought she was kind and nice and generous and beautiful and smart and all of those things. So Esther said to one of the attendants and one of the servants, what do you think I should bring in with me to meet the king? Because they got to bring anything they wanted in. So he told her what she should bring, and she followed his advice, and she went in and met the king. And because God gave her that favor, King Xerxes saw her and he said, she is the one. She's the most beautiful woman, and I am going to pick her to be my queen. So Esther gets crowned queen, which is pretty amazing. But King Xerxes still doesn't know that she's Jewish. Now, there's a bad guy in the story too. He's going to come in more tomorrow, in the story tomorrow, but his name is Haman. And Haman is a bad guy. Okay, we'll draw him with a little angry. All right. He's a bad guy. Now, tomorrow in the story, there's a tradition in the Jewish tradition and of telling the story of Esther, is that whenever you say the name Haman, kids make noise. They have a noisemaker or the yell or something. So your assignment today is to make a noisemaker. Okay, it can be an empty water bottle that you put some beans or rice into and shake, or beads. It can be like an empty toilet paper tube that you cover the ends with tape and put some things inside and then shake it. But something that you can shake. So tomorrow's story, when we talk about Haman, you can shake it whenever I say his name, okay? Because he's the bad guy. Now, one last thing before we go for today. While Esther was queen, there is a rule that you can only go see the king if he asks for you, or he holds out his golden scepter to you. So if you want to go in and speak to the king, he either has to call for you, or you go in and you see. If he wants to see you, he'll hold out his golden scepter. If he doesn't hold out his golden scepter, you will be killed. That's crazy, right? But that's how they did it back then. So Esther only goes to see the king when she's asked to go see him. Mordecai, she kind of talks to Mordecai each day, kind of by the palace wall, and they talk and make sure she's okay. Well, one day Mordecai, when he was doing his job, overheard some of the soldiers plotting to kill King Xerxes. So he found Esther and told Esther about it, and then Esther actually was summoned by the king and told King Xerxes about this plot to kill him. And so King Xerxes called the guards and he investigated, and sure enough, it was true. They were going to kill the king. So Mordecai and Esther saved King Xerxes' life. And King Xerxes has a big book that he writes all the things down that happened in the day, and he wrote that story down in his book. So tomorrow we'll do more of the story, but make your noisemaker like we talked about, so that when we talk about Haman, you can shake it and make some noise.